Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports, my name is Chase Sr. Hope everybody out there is having a great weekend. Pro Football Focus released their list of their top 100 free agents for the 2025 NFL offseason, and that includes contract projections for players as well. So we're going to take a look at what the markets could be for some of the Eagles' upcoming free agents. Before we do that, programming reminder, myself and producer Chip, we are driving to New Orleans on Sunday. We will be there all week for our coverage right here on Eagles Now of Super Bowl 59. Super Bowl 57 rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss our coverage. And while you do that, hit that bell icon, turn on your notifications. Therefore, when we go live, when we push out a show, when we party from Bourbon Street, you will be notified. So Pro Football Focus has Josh Sweat as their 10th best free agent of this free agency class. And his projected contract, pretty crazy here. 3 years, $18 million per season, $32.5 million in guaranteed cash, $54 million in total money. Almost 28 years old, his last 4 years, 7.5 sacks, 11 sacks, 6.5, and 8 in the regular season. He has been a really good player for this Eagles team, and a player who was the #1 recruit in high school, injured his knee, went to Florida State, was a good player with the Seminoles. Eagles drafted him in the 4th round, and he has been an awesome player for Philadelphia under general manager Howie Roseman. Here's what PFF had to say about Josh Sweat. That AAV, that stands for average annual value, it is high. Sweat signed an early extension with the Eagles in 2021, then a revised 1-year deal for 2024, which he made the most of it to the tune of 8 sacks in the regular season. With the departure of Hassan Reddick and the unfortunate injury to Eagles legend Brandon Graham, Sweat had plenty of runway to boost his stock, and he did so on his way to a 75.7 Pro Football Focus overall grade in the regular season. He also improved against the run. It was a good bounce-back year for him with what he did last year when he had that big sack drought. The overall sack numbers didn't look all that bad. Here's the thing with Sweat. At his age, and it was brilliant by Howie to restructure his deal because they didn't pay him a lot of money this year, I would not pay him $18 million per year. I think that from Pro Football Focus, that is a gross overprojection and overpay. And so if the Eagles can get him at cheaper than that, I'm down. But $18 million per season? Myles Garrett makes $25. I think $18 million is way too steep. Then there's Milton Williams coming in at number 32. He's one of the fastest rising players in this free agency class. Has a projected contract of 3 years, $21 million per season, $37.5 million guaranteed, $63 million total. He had 5 sacks in 2024. And check out these numbers, man. A pass rush grade of 90.4. And I want to check where that ranks among defensive tackles because it has to be up there with some of the top defensive tackles in the game because 90.4 is as good as it gets. That ranked 2nd among interior defensive linemen. The issue with him, his run defense grade was 43.1. Now, for instance, Chris Jones, who was one of the highest graded defensive tackles in the game, had a run defense grade somewhere in the 60s. So it's really hard to find a defensive tackle who's excellent against the pass, excellent against the run. But Milton Williams is going to get paid in free agency because he also played right around 50% of the snaps. He can win with the bull rush. He can win with explosion. Really underrated player. There was an infamous draft day clip of when the Eagles drafted him. Howie was pumped up. Somebody else in the front office was not. This is what Howie saw. Him becoming this type of player. And it would be great for the Eagles to bring him back. But I think another team who's in need of pass rushing help at defensive tackle, getting in the face of the quarterback from the interior is huge. They're going to pay him a lot of dough. Here's what PFF said about Milton Williams. He's already a candidate for the biggest riser on this list. And his stock only improved down the home stretch. His 6 sacks in the regular season, career best total, and a rotational interior defender with serious pass rush juice is often the profile of a player who does very well in free agency. and Williams has limited tread on his tires, given he's never eclipsed 50% of his defensive snaps in a season, despite playing at least 36% in every year since his debut. Leave it to the Eagles to get a new deal done, but if not, don't be surprised when Williams makes a major splash in March. He has been a very valuable rotation player this year. Eagles aren't going to be able to afford that. There is good news, though. Moro Uzomah can play, and I think that Moro Uzomah can step in. Let me also throw this out there. Regardless of where the Eagles pick, they might have an opportunity to draft Walter Nolan, the Ole Miss defensive tackle, in the first round, and he brings a lot of the similar traits that Milton Williams brings to Vic Fangio's defense. More to get to here on the show, but first, let's give a shout out to our friends at GameTime, the best app in the ticketing marketplace. They specialize in last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. Prices drop as the event gets closer. They have flash deals and zone deals and the lowest price guaranteed. If you find a lower price on another app, GameTime will credit you up to 110% of the difference. Also, thanks to the GameTime Picks, a new feature, curation makes it easier to find the best options for your tickets without having to sort through thousands of tickets. So you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. It's not just an app for sporting events. You can go to concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. But if you want to go to the big game in New Orleans, Eagles, Chiefs, Superdome, a ticket that is top 5 most in demand in Super Bowl history, plenty of tickets still available, and you can meet up with myself and Chip because we will be down there in the Big Easy on Bourbon Street. So download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code ChatSports. Get $20 off. CHATSPORTS. Terms apply. First purchase only. As for Mekhi Becton, he checks in at free agent ranking number 41. Projected contract of 3 years, $9 million per season, $17 million in guaranteed cash, $27 million total. The Eagles switched him to guard, and he has been fantastic. A true beneficiary of Jeff Stoutland University. He was a failed offensive tackle after being drafted in the first round in 2020 by the Jets. Played well his rookie year. Struggled with play, injuries, awful organization. The Eagles signed him pretty much to be a backup swing tackle. Tyler Steen gets hurt at right guard. Mekhi Becton steps in, improves his stock. He's going to get paid. Eagles never looked back, and he was a mauler at that size. And Jeff Stoutland certainly maximized the player here. Here's what PFF had to say about Becton. He is the latest in a very long line of star pupils to attend Jeff Stoutland University in Philadelphia, working with arguably the league's best offensive line coach to get his career back on track. A kick inside to guard for 2024 may not be a permanent move for Becton, as the Eagles have possibly the best tackle tandem in the NFL, but he demonstrated versatility across the line, and that's only a good thing. I would not blink at giving Becton $9 million per season. Landon Dickerson, for instance, is making $21 million per year, and Becton at less than half of that would be a steal. Keep in mind, there will be teams who will pay him a lot. There will be teams who might want to pop him back out to tackle, but if he got his career back on track with Philadelphia, and he enjoys playing with the Eagles so much, and they give him some pretty good compensation, why not come back? Him flank the Lane Johnson on that right side, really good. There's also some chatter that if Lane Johnson retires, maybe the Eagles like Becton so much, they put him at right tackle. I think he's more of a guard, because I don't know if he has the quickness to play on the edge. Then there's Zack Baun, who comes in at number 61. Criminally underranked and underrated by Pro Football Focus here. Projected contract of 3 years, $13.3 million per, $26.5 million in guaranteed money, $40 million total. He was a first-team All-Pro this season, a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year, and Howie has finally seen the value that the linebacker position can have in the modern landscape of the NFL. Zack Baun was a game-changer, game-wrecker at that linebacker spot. Excellent off-ball in coverage in his first year playing off-ball. The Eagles used him as a blitzer, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, always around the ball. Just an excellent, excellent player who made game-altering plays for Philadelphia all year, and I think he's a player at that second level Philadelphia needs to pay. They need to bring back, honestly, among all of the players on this list, and of all of the Eagles free agents, Zack Baun is the number one player I want to see come back. Linebackers in Philadelphia, it just sounds good. And we haven't seen a linebacker like this since Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Or Jeremiah Trotter and his son Jeremiah Trotter Jr. going to try to do the same thing as his pops. Pro Football Focus on Zack Baun. We seemingly write this blurb every year for the free agent rankings, so stop us if you've heard this before. The Eagles bought low on a talented but underutilized off-ball linebacker who went on to have a career year in Philadelphia. Will they extend Baun, the latest example, and keep him in the fold? That's the blurb we never write. Focusing on Baun, there was nothing fluky about his production, little reason to think that he can't continue to play at an extremely high level in a newer role. Plus, he'll always have some pass rush chops to boot. I think that's what makes him special. And I think that's why Philadelphia has to retain the player here, because he's versatile in the way that he plays and the way that the Eagles use him. And shout out to Howie. He signed him for a vet min, and then Vic Fangio brought this special player to life. Here's a list of all of the Eagles 2025 free agents: Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Zack Baun, Mekhi Becton, Avonte Maddox, Milton Williams, LaRaven Clark, Rick Lovato, CJ Uzomah, Fred Johnson, Jack Driscoll, Parris Campbell, who got a photo with LeBron the other night, Oren Burks, Nick Gates, Isaiah Rodgers, Ian Book, Kenneth Gainwell, Britton Covey, Ben VanSumeren. 19 total players right there. In season, off season, I have you covered right here on the show. Since I took over, Eagles now has gone to another level. For a kid who grew up in the Philly area and was an Eagles fan at the ripe age of 4, to be able to cover this team is incredible. Subscribe. We're going to continue to give you great coverage.